Immerse in the profound wisdom of the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, ancient verses, revered as a pinnacle of devotion and spiritual awareness. Under the guidance of His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda, plunge into the infinite ocean of this revered scripture. Discover its hidden truths. Embrace its transformative power. Awaken to new realms of divine love and spiritual awareness. The depths are calling. The deeper you dive, the more treasures you'll discover. And now, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the Preceptor of the universe, Destroyer of the forces of darkness, and Bestower of immortality. Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, and we are focused on Sutra number 69. Simple points were clarified before in the previous talk about Charanamrit. You offer water as a ritual worship of the deity, and with that water the feet are touched. Then that water is called Charanamrit. It's a nectar proceeding from the lotus feet of God. Now, what will happen if the God doesn't have the feet? From a broader point of view, God doesn't have ordinary feet. And you have no way to touch them. From ritual point of view, there are certain forms of God. Shivalinga, Shiva's symbol, doesn't have feet. Devotees of Vishnu worship Shaligram, a special symbolic stone that doesn't have feet. The Sutra explains it doesn't matter. Still view it as Charanamrit. You have intended to worship God. In your feeling, God's feet are being adored by you. So therefore, that water that you have used to worship and invoke Him is perfectly Charanamrit. Same question is rose about food. You give wonderful prasads, the best of delicious things. Having given to God, is it your right to take it back? Most people will not prepare delicious food if God takes them away. There's a joke. So, first to understand, it's an act of bhavana, feeling. God doesn't need food. God doesn't eat like human beings. But your attitude, you are offering it. And God, like father or mother, is enjoying the food you have offered. So in the practice of worship, bhavana is important, your feeling, your attitude. And Shandilya explained, whatever has been offered to God, Lord by a person can be eaten or accepted by Him because there is no difference between the devotee and God. God indwells within you, in your heart. It's God who allows the food to be assimilated by you. So actually it's God who is the eater. So therefore, you should have no sense of contradiction that I have given that to God and why should I take it away? Or is there anything wrong about it? Sutra 69, that's where we are focused now. Nimitta guna abhyapekshanat aparadeshu vyavastha. Defaults in worship arise due to cause, nature, and helplessness. Whatever type of worship you have planned, sometimes defaults may arise. Say, for example, you have planned your worship at a certain time in the morning, and a default is that you don't wake up at that time. Why? Because in the previous day you had a hard time. Or some other thing has happened that requires your attention at that time. So there is a cause that disturbs your worship. Sometimes you may have to leave the worship undone. Now, if you do that due to your dull nature, then that's the default. But if you have done it because there was a real cause behind it, while you are doing, suddenly you notice there is a fire simmering in a corner. So you don't say to yourself, let me finish my mala, and then I go and extinguish the fire. If in your mind it gives you a sense of default, then all that you do, increase your mala japa. The default, that sense of default will be nullified. The next point is called nature. Nature means if your health condition suddenly changes, you are so tired you didn't even wake up at that time. Now you can also justify it. Suddenly you develop in your mind a sense of what's the use, neglect. Not important. Puja is not important. I was dreaming a wonderful dream and let me go on doing it. That's a bigger default. And sometimes anicca, helplessness, that means you are set with everything, but someone urges you to join in something. In every family there are certain situations develop, suddenly some plan comes in, and then you follow it. You didn't like it, but you made the original mistake coming into human embodiment. देह धरे का दंड है, सबका हुक्म है. Important point, don't default deliberately. And don't go on defaulting because of your ignorance. Ignorance is not excuse. Even in the practical world, you are supposed to know all the legal laws. And if you defaulted because you didn't know it, there's no excuse. The general points should be taken into view, consideration, regarding what is error, what should you avoid. First one, to consider God as a minor deity. That is, in your mind, God has only little value, just like uncle has a value and father has a value and uncle, the political uncle has a value. So, whenever you need, you turn to God, get me this. Yeah? Thank God that He is there. That way you are viewing God as a minor deity. Come to another level of understanding. In Hindu culture, there are different, so many gods. Again, for the masses, each god has completely independent personality. For the masses, but that is not real, that is the default. It is same God who manifests as Vishnu, the sustainer. Same God manifests as Shiva, that dissolves the world. Same God manifests as Rama, the incarnation, as Krishna, as Buddha, as Jesus, as whomsoever you think. There is nothing other than God. So what can we expect? But there can be countless names of gods, because even in ordinary practical world, everyone wants water. But everybody doesn't call water water. Really surprised, in India they call it pani. In Persian language, ab. Of course, Spanish people are plenty who say aqua. I'm trying to dramatize it to show. Though it is just a simple thing. And yet there are so many names. Why should a person become confused because there are so many? The mind comes into such a degraded state that people begin to fight simply because of names. You can be worshipping Krishna as Brahman with a generous heart. Or you can be worshipping Krishna with an eccentric mind. That all those people who do not worship Krishna going to straight to hell. And each time you look at them and try to secure, whom are you worshipping? Rama? Oh, Rama was a younger. So Krishna was bigger. It's not so bad, but come to Krishna. Dramatizing to make you understand how ridiculous it is. And yet, at the mass level, people accept that way. If Ganesha didn't hear, I will go to his father, Shiva. That level of understanding, if it is guided and it remains in a sattvic way, that's perfectly okay. You have a kindergarten level of your education, and then you go into higher advanced education. So any such differentiation among gods that you maintain in your mind is kindergarten aspect. As you grow, you realize the God is being worshipped by whichever deity you have chosen. If Rama is your Ishta Devata, then Rama is the God with countless attributes. All attributes, Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, all adore Rama whom you worship. That's what Tulsidasji paints Rama. Vishnu Sahasra, 1,000 Vishnus do not equal Rama. 1,000 Brahmas do not equal Rama. 1,000 Shivas do not equal Rama. Again, if you worship Shiva, stotras, 1,000 Vishnus, Brahmas are all not equal Shiva. The implication is just to understand that while choosing, you are choosing an aspect, a pose of God. But once you have chosen, all poses of God are included in that. If you don't understand it, that becomes a default. Because each time you hear somebody worshipping another aspect of God, in your mind either develops a strange compassion. Why misguided this person is. Another aspect of default is you worship God to attain para-bhakti, supreme devotion. Para-bhakti implies that you go on understanding that your soul is a ray of God. Between a ray and the sun there is profound love. A relationship that is inseparable. And the more you become aware of it, there is increasing sweetness in your life. You are coming closer to God who is the supreme love. And if there is a lot of sweetness in you, it oozes out through your eyes, through your hands. Your personality begins to create an atmosphere of a kind of a saintly atmosphere. So ultimately, your goal is to attain God realization. As long as you hold God as a means to fulfillment of your desires, there's no harm in that either. At least you are turning to God. There are people who have under terrible stress to get certain things that are needed in life, and they're not aware that turning to God makes the process easier. So, Gita has explained 4 types of devotees. Artha, if you are in distress, suddenly something has happened and you need help, you don't know from where. You look at the father, he can't give you. The mother can't give you. Look at all relatives, they can't do that. Then you look like Draupadi in the Mahabharata context. Then looks at Krishna, oh Krishna, come help. That's called Artha Bhakti, distress. During distress, you turn your mind to God. And you experience a miraculous result. If you are sensitive and advanced, it will immediately put you on the right path. Why not continue to turn to God even when you are not in distress? Dukh mein sumiran sab kare. In distress, everybody turns to God. Sukh mein kare na koe. The things are congenial, comfortable, and nobody turns to God. If you are wise, it should be other way around. If you are happy, now you can allow the entire mental focus to go after God. Be greedy. Use your comfortable time to accelerate your movement towards God realization, because you have nothing to complain against. If once you have developed that attitude, then attainment of God realization becomes very easy. Otherwise, you are just waiting when there is a stressful condition, I will worship God. Then you are helpless, there you have no choice. That's also you are helpless, you are worshipping God not with wholehearted. Your heart is being squeezed already. So, as I said, 4 types. Artha, that's the distress. Artharthi. Artharthi means acquiring material attainment. Material, mundane attainment implies, of course, wealth, material objects, possessions. It implies having fame, name, glory. All that comes under artha. And you are artharthi. Scripture dramatizes it by giving a story. Dhruva was a great devotee. He was son of a great king. But the king had another son also, because he has 2 wives. The younger wife brought out a son. She began to influence his mind to give the kingdom to the son, and also influence the mind not to respect Dhruva, the first son. And one day, Dhruva as a boy, 5-year-old, 3-year-old boy, rushed to be in the father's arms. And father looked at his young wife. So he didn't respect, but gave all the attention to the son, Uttam. That led to Dhruva's mind terrible sense of emptiness, And he had already samskara, he had heard about the glory of God. So, initially, feeling that I should have had the right to be in the lap of my father. With that attitude, with that desire in his mind, he started practicing profound meditation. The meditation led him to have Narada's darshan, sage Narada, and led him to enlightenment. God came before him, said, "Ask, what do you want?" Dhruva said, "I want nothing." Bhagavad Puran dramatizes it. Dhruva had developed a universal heart. And he asks God to be gracious on all people. But initially he had started with the idea, may I be a king. And Lord Vishnu grants him, even though he doesn't ask, you will be the king. So, what I'm trying to relate to you, how you can initially start at a low level, a level that is defective. And as you advance, your mind changes. You started for artha, for material resource, but suddenly your mind tasted the joy of being desireless. But then there are cases, majority of people, having attained what they wanted, they ignore God. God is just a means to an end. Similarly, you turn to God for intellectual satisfaction, intellect, ideas, or is termed as jigyasu. Jigyasu is inquirer. You want to hold a mind that is clear, not mind that is messed up with so many confusions. Therefore, whenever there is a confusing state, you come to God. When confusion moves away, fine. You are out of it. However, even that, those who are spiritually sensitive, when confusion moves away and you find an answer to your question, it gives you a sense of exploration. Let me explore more and more until your mind has resolved all doubts. So at each level, you can use it as a means to an end, or it can become a channel leading to the goal. If it directed towards an end, means to an end, then it's called you are worshipping other gods. If you worship the God, your goal is to attain liberation. You are worshipping Lakshmi Devi for wealth. You are worshipping Ganesha for removing obstacles, or Hanuman or Durga. You are worshipping anyone, Rama, Krishna, all for certain end. But all these names, they are one and the same. And whomsoever you are worshipping, never consider that God minor. For example, if you are worshipping a particular aspect of God, don't then hold in your mind because you have read about that God, that Hanuman can do all these things. Your mind may say that there are things that Hanuman may not accomplish. Lakshmi Devi will accomplish easier, quick money. Hanuman may delay that process. If you hold this view, that's entirely the big default. Hanuman accomplishes all that Lakshmi will accomplish, all that Vishnu will accomplish, all that Rama will accomplish, all that any Devi will accomplish. That type of understanding means you are in the right direction. Next great default, to view God confined to a temple. People hold this very intensely. You have a group of people go to Badri, Kedar very up in the Himalayas through arduous journey. When they come back, whether they had enjoyed the journey or not, they go on bragging about how much they experienced and how thrilled they were when they were in the temple. And that experience nobody can get unless you go. This is unreal. This is not real. Simply by going into a temple, you don't get the same experience that anybody else had got. You could get the entire experience right in where you are. Man changata katvat me ganga. Your village saying is, if your mind is good, healthy, pure, then even in your bathtub, you look around and the Ganges is coming down. Even in a shower bath, millions of rays of God's grace is showering upon you. And you will have exactly the same benefit. So never view that God is confined to a temple or confined to a statue. Again, there is another cultural understanding. You receive teachings from a guru. Guru is viewed as God, channel of God. Therefore, your mind is set how to draw God's inspiration through Guru. His human limitations, a Guru can be only 5 feet. His human limitations should not become your focus. So there is a saying, Guru Govinda dono kare, kake lagu khao. A devotee, after meditation, opens his eyes. And there he says, Guru is here and Govinda, Krishna or God, both are suddenly appearing before him. He ignores God, turns to Guru. Oh Guru, how great that you have shown Govinda, you have shown God. And God is not insulted, God is very joyous. This has to be understood, the subtle meaning behind it. Also in Ramayana, there is a story of Kagbhushundi, a devotee of Lord Shiva, began to develop a sense of ego within himself and started considering himself superior to others because he was such a great devotee. And while he was doing his devotional prayers, Guru walked in. And in his mind, he had excelled Guru. So he stayed without showing any respect for Guru. Suddenly, a voice emerged from Shiva of anger, cursing that person who is later known as Kakabhushundi, that you, wretched soul, disrespect to Guru is worse than disrespecting me. If you had disrespected me, I would have forgiven. You disrespected Guru, I can't forgive. Go through hundreds of embodiments as a result of this. Not just in human embodiment, all types, animals, birds. Guru at that time immediately tried to minimize that curse, and he offered a great stotra, Namami Shamishana Nirvana. That one of the most important stotra of Shiva is prominent. in the Tulsi Ramayana. And of course, all this has been dramatized to give to you various prayers, etc. At the same time, there is a message behind it. Having listened to this stotra, Shiva became appeased and said that because of your prayer, Guru's prayer, I am reducing the curse. By this time, the devotee also became very humble, didn't know what to do, surrendered himself. And Shiva minimized the curse, saying that you will move through different embodiments, but you will not go through pain. And you will always have the awareness, a deeper awareness. So the story goes that even when he tumbled into different embodiments, he became a deer, but he knew that he was not a deer, he was a spirit. He turned into a horse, and he knew. So the knowledge was retained until he became again a human being. And the story leads, he attains enlightenment, he becomes the greatest of sages. I will not go into further detail in that. So that's in relation to what your attitude should be to Guru and to God. Another, especially while reading Krishna's stories, to develop limited attitude to divine incarnation. Rather, to view rasa dance as ordinary amorous sport. Many people complain, go into a temple and see Krishna with so many ladies dancing. And especially those who don't have that culture, they can't understand it. Here are the people who are constantly saying brahmacharya and this and that. And that's what they are teaching. The entire amorous sport is all figurative. Krishna is not a teenager or not a worldly person. Those who are dancing, they are not human, ordinary human. They are divine sentiments. Even if they are human beings, they are possessing the sentiment of profound love for God. So it is not just ordinary dance. That idea should not come into your mind. Next, lack of faith. You are doing the worship, but your mind is, I should have done Lord Vishnu's prayer, not Lord Shiva. I should have brought in Devi's prayer. That's more effective. I should find another mantra that can do work fast. When that happens, that is lack of faith. Next default is judging devotees. You are very acute in judging. Then feel very, very proud. So that one is making such miserable mistakes. I don't do that. Look yourself in the mirror. You are how wonderful you are. Human being cannot judge. Sometimes outwardly people express themselves in different ways. Sometimes a person may outwardly show a lot of agitation. But simply because of that, you never know what his internal life is. So you're judging others in a negative way. It brings to your mind negative impressions unnecessarily. You are not helping others. If you find a lot of mistakes in others, it is neither good for you nor good for them. So if you have that talent, try to get rid of it. You point one finger to others, 3 fingers point to you. Go after the 3. Majority rules. To comment on the merits and demerits of saints and sages. That's another big error in human mind. That I've heard very good Christian asking me the question, did Jesus forget that he was Son of God? And said, oh Lord, have you forgotten me? Shouldn't he have always kept that Saj Samadhi? Awareness, I am his son? Amazing. Criticizing that level of attainment because of one sentence you read and don't understand. This is stupidity of the highest order. Why did Rama kill Bali by hiding behind the bushes? What happened to his heroism? You read anyone's story, Krishna, Rama, why did he do that? I would have done better. Don't get into that. It's all profound mystical literature. Your mind should be open-hearted, joyous, turning to God. And of course, don't turn to wrong association. Avoid association that encourages you to hold on to vikaras or mental impurities that makes you drug addicted or many other things. That vikaras can lead you to terroristic attitudes. All these are naming the few. These are the defaults. And if you happen to get into the default, purification is done by intensifying your prayer, coming under the good guidance, turning to satsanga. Expiatory deed should not be irrational. In other words, suddenly occur to your mind you have committed an error. Now say to yourself, I'm going to fast for 7 days. I won't even take water. After one single day, you realize it is a terrible. You can't even think. After 2 days, you are getting unconscious. That's not austerity. You are insulting your intellect. You are doing double default. You should have been doing things in a more harmonious way. Fast, but it should not be against your health. It should be in harmony with you, gaining a higher level of health. Adopt disciplines that will enrich you mentally, physically, spiritually. By adopting disciplines that will thwart you, that will make you sick, stunted, and that is not austerity. So in the Gita, I will read there are 3 types of austerity: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Tamasic austerity looks very sacrificing, with very glaring, like sitting in the Ganges, cold Ganges for hours. The result? Rheumatism. And with this I will conclude. Oh, Shanti.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of spiritual growth. It's an honor to learn from the wisdom of Swami Jyotirmayananda. As we part for now, remember, the quest does not end. Take time to reflect on today's insights and integrate them into your life. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, stay present. The light within you is always shining.